see what they say. When we get to y'all, I have a little microphone that we're going to share amongst you, okay? So Mr. Linder is moments away. I'm going to start pretty soon, and then we'll just roll through and see what we got. Come on in. Come on in. All right. We're going to get started pretty quickly, pretty soon. Oh, thank you. We're getting the live stream set up right now too. We had almost 400 people register for the live stream. Wow. So no pressure, everybody. Excellent. Good. How are you? So yeah, with the microphones, it's feeding straight into the live stream, so we don't have to worry about really being loud. But they're kind of sensitive, so I wouldn't put them like right up here. You can, or you can hold it, whatever is most comfortable for you. Yeah. This is what I did for Trinity. Would you please scan that and tell me if you are happy with that? Yes, I trust you. Oh. So much good. Oh. I was like, man, like, oh, I know. What? Somebody else. Okay, should we start? Yes, we may not have online comments. We may not have online comments? Yeah. Okay. Okay, we're gonna work on it. Okay, welcome everyone. My name is Felicia Miyakawa. I am president of the League of Women Voters of Williamson County. We have some empty seats here, but we did have full registration, so we expect people to be trickling in over the next few minutes. And we do have the live stream set up, so we want to honor everybody's time since this is over a lunch hour and make sure that we get you out of here in good time. So I just want to kick this off and welcome to our online viewers. Let me do some housekeeping first so that you all are oriented to your space. If you need a restroom while you are here, you have two choices. You can go out this way and near the front doors, there are restrooms. There are also restrooms inside the library. Come on in, these are your two exits. If you need to get out of the library, these are your two exits, one over here, one over here. We're not going to talk about a slide or anything to do in case of a water landing, okay? I ask you all to turn off your phones, to silence your phones. You are welcome to take pictures. You are welcome to take videos. If you do not want to be part of pictures or videos, please be conscious that that's going on and let us know. We are live streaming, so you're going to be on the video unless you kind of move yourself out of the way. We are one of over 1,500 events being held today nationwide today. And of course, the event that we're marking is the 5th anniversary of the passing of Congressman John Lewis. We have this phrase that is very associated with him, get into good trouble, right? And that's what we're doing today. Come on in. Yeah. We are going to set you up with some discussion. This is a teach-in, so we have several panelists, and I'll introduce the orgs in just a moment. But we have panelists who are going to talk a little bit about subjects that they wanted to talk about that have to do with the struggle for voting rights in Texas, past and present. So I put that really large so that they could choose from what they think is most important for this moment. And we want this to be a discussion. So a teach-in is not a situation where we just yap at you, as my son would say, right? We're not just going to yap at you. Come on in. We want to have discussion. There will be an opportunity for discussion at the end as well. So please feel free to ask questions, to make comments. And let's see, if you are here live, you have a handout. You should have gotten a handout when you got here. On the front are the actions that we will discuss, because we're not just here to talk. We want you to leave here knowing what to do next, right? And to be able to empower everybody you know, what do we do next, okay? Everybody who is watching the live stream, when we get to the points in the conversation, when we're talking about things that are on the handout, Tony, our comms director, is going to drop links right into the YouTube so that you will be able to see what we're talking about. And if you registered for this event, and I assume you did because you're here, you will be getting a follow-up email with everything that we talked about in terms of actions, with all the links. So you're going to be overloaded with information. Don't worry. We are going to have this YouTube as a memory of what we did today, but also as a resource. So you can share it as much as you want after this day and keep the conversation going. If you need any assistance during this event, please find one of us with the sparkly pins. That would be me and Anita and Tony in the back. We are the board members from the league who are here today. We asked most of our board to stay home so that we could have lots of room for the community to be here today because we want to meet all of you. So why are we here today? We are here to build coalition with people in our community. As you may have seen, the League of Women Voters has taken the unusual, unprecedented step of declaring that we are in a constitutional crisis. That has never happened before, okay? It is a significant moment in our history. But look at all of the people that we have to work with. I want you to look around and take stock of that. We are here to do this together, to work through this problem together, okay? So the whole purpose of today is to find a thing to do, not just to talk about it, but to find a thing to do. And that is the good trouble. That is the way in which we honor the memory of Congressman John Lewis. So our partner orgs today, we are just absolutely delighted to have the Texas Civil Rights Project represented today. You'll see their logo on here. Taylor Trevino is going to speak to us in a little while. We have Celeste Williams from the Delta Sigma Theta International Incorporated, come on, Sorority Incorporated. Celeste has many titles, and you'll get them all in a few minutes, but Celeste is representing, and then we also have Mr. Nelson Linder coming from the NAACP of Austin. So really great speakers, really powerful coalition of ideas here today. I want to emphasize, before we move to our speakers, I want to tell you a little bit about what the League does, because I think that that's an important way to set the tone. The League is nonpartisan. We are strictly nonpartisan. What that means is that we never endorse or oppose candidates or parties. Okay, we're not getting in the middle of that. We do, however, get involved with issues. We do get involved with issues. For example, voting rights, which has been germinal to our existence since its very beginning, right? Come on in. That's okay, it's all right. It's just the nature of the room. So voting rights is very important to us, and so that is the topic of discussion for today. Our mission statement is very simple: empowering voters, defending democracy. That's it. And we welcome anybody to do this work with us, as long as you're on board with our mission and being nonpartisan while we do this work. That's it. Those are the only requirements. I also want to talk a little bit about diversity, okay? In order for our democracy to work, we need all voices at the table. To that end, the League of Women Voters puts our commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion out front. There have been times in our past when we did not do that, okay? There have been times when we have not done that. This time, we will walk forward with each other or not at all, okay? The League is in this for everyone. We are here for everyone. So I actually want to read this sentence from national. We read this at every meeting, at statewide gatherings, at local gatherings. Diversity, equity, and inclusion are central to the organization's current and future success in engaging all individuals, households, communities, and policymakers in creating a more perfect democracy. And we have membership brochures right over here. I'm just kidding. Okay, so let's talk about this, what democracy, right? That's why we're here today. So democracy relies on the fundamental right to vote, and those rights are under attack. There have been many moments in our history when our rights to vote have been under attack, and this is one of those moments. We need to not play around with that. This is one of those moments, okay? So we're going to now hear from a couple of different organizations about work that has gone ongoing in the past, work that is up in front of us in the future, and what we can all do. So at this point, I'm going to invite Taylor up here. First, I'm going to bestow a magic microphone to Taylor. I know, it's pretty cool. There you go. And here is a little bit about Taylor. Taylor Trevino is the Voting Rights Senior Advocacy Manager at the Texas Civil Rights Project. Born and raised in Austin, Texas, she spent 3 years as a public school educator before transitioning to organizing and civic engagement work full-time. She has volunteered and worked for various organizations and campaigns, from city council races and nonpartisan voter registration and get out the vote efforts to state and federal legislative grassroots lobbying. She currently serves as the vice chair of the Indigenous Peoples Caucus and on the City of Austin LGBTQ Quality of Life Advisory Commission. Taylor.
Hello, everyone. Is this good? We good? Mic-wise?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. How's everyone doing?
Woo.
So it's going to be, I might try and clip this because I talk with my hands. All right. Yeah, really excited to be here with y'all. Thank you to Felicia and everyone at the league.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. I'm going to try not to be nervous. Yeah, so I want to share a little bit more about myself. Thank you for the intro and what TCRP does, and then jump into my topic of today, which is a little bit legislative focused. So as Felicia said, I'm born and raised here in Austin, very proud of that. And had I known when I was in school, including in college, that like jobs and careers like mine existed, I probably would have pursued that, but definitely got here in kind of a sideways way. It was the summer of 2020 when I was teaching that I had my kind of like turning point, aha moment, the resurgence of the Black Lives Matter movement, you know, after the horrific deaths of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and so many others. And I was like, what can I do? You know, as one person, as someone who's not an expert in anything like policy-wise, governmental. And what I determined was that I could join my local NAACP, which was Fort Worth, Tarrant County at the time, and register voters because, you know, there are so many policies in place from the local level, state, federal, that have such a huge impact on people's lives. And, you know, people make those decisions actively that can prevent situations like we've seen or cause them to happen. And so the more that we can get the electorate to actually reflect our population, the better policies we can have. So that's kind of how I got here and why I really like the voting rights world, because it connects to everything else, right? Which is really important, or why it's so important that we maintain our rights and kind of hold the line. So yeah, a little bit about TCRP, Texas Civil Rights Project. We are a statewide legal advocacy organization, been around for about 35 years now. We have 3 program areas, so criminal justice, immigration, and voting rights, which is my world. We've got a lot of great attorneys who do a lot of like impact litigation, different kinds of lawsuits, for example, on the awful anti-voter bill SB1 from 2021, which is still ongoing. And then my kind of bucket of work is our advocacy world. So we do like local policies, working at the county level, trying to get pro-voter initiatives passed. We have our election protection work, a lot of other things. And then we also work a lot at the state legislature, which is where we see a lot of the fight for voting rights, where a lot of our biggest threats are here in Texas. And so what I'm going to talk about today is our the proof of citizenship policies that have become kind of a trend across the nation. So a few years back, Arizona, I actually don't know exactly how long, it's been a handful of years, but they passed these laws. We've seen it in places like Kansas. And then this year, the federal government tried their hand with the SAVE Act by introducing that in January in the House of Representatives. And so essentially what these laws aim to do, Texas also then, you know, followed suit with SB 16. So if you hear me say that, that was our big law this year, or bill. They are trying to get people to like show documents proving that they are citizens just to be able to register to vote. Awful. Real quick, like by a show of hands, how many people in the room are VDRs? Okay, VDRs. Volunteer deputy registrars, so someone who can go out in the community and register voters. All right, so what's one of the first questions they have to answer? Right. It is already illegal to vote in Texas if you're not a citizen. I say in Texas because there are some states and cities across the country where for like local elections, they'll allow like legal permanent residents, so some folks who aren't citizens to vote, but that is not the case in Texas, not gonna happen anytime soon. So we're not even worried about that. It's already illegal. It is extremely rare. And in the few cases where it does happen, where someone votes and they're not supposed to, the laws work as they are intended, right? People are prosecuted, they go through the system. That's not how I would necessarily like things, but what is in place is working, right? So this is a solution in search of a problem. And on top of that, it is an extreme burden for voters. There's, I could talk forever, honestly, about how burdensome this is, but effectively, if SB 16 had passed, what that would require or set in place is for existing voters, registered voters, or if you're registering for the first time, your county registrar would check these statewide databases and see if they already have something on file that proves you're a citizen. So for example, here in Texas, to get an ID, you usually have to show a passport or birth certificate or something like that. So if the state has that in the system already, they got you, you're good, you'll be fine. But if not, then you need to go like take your either passport, birth certificate, naturalization papers in person to your county registrar's office, have them process it for you to just be able to register to vote, to be registered. A lot of people don't have these documents in the first place. Vote Riders did a study in Texas, and there's about 1.3 million Texans, or 7%, who either don't have these documents or don't have access to them. These bills made me think, like, I asked my dad earlier in the session if he knew where my birth certificate was, because I just had not thought about it, never needed it, at least not since I was 18. So simply having access to these documents or owning them is a huge burden for a lot of people. This bill pretty much hits at every marginalized group in Texas, young people, students, elderly people, those with disabilities, rural voters. Like, there are so many different issues when it comes to access. Low-income voters, passports are expensive. Like, you can't just go and get one. And for the legislature to act like that's not a significant burden, it's just extremely dismissive of what voters face. I was reminded of a time when the chair of the elections, the House Elections Committee, told some of our partners at LDF that he didn't know of any like voting issues in Texas. Like, that's not a problem. People don't have issues voting. This is like, that's the level of yeah, that we're dealing with. So thankfully in Texas, oh, last part. Okay, so say you're not able to prove your citizenship. If you are otherwise registered, what you will end up getting is what's called a limited federal ballot. So you can vote for your congressmen and your US senators. You can vote in federal elections. But this doesn't include the president, and the reason why is insane. I think it was like some court that decided that, because when you're going to vote for president, you're actually voting for the electors who then vote for the president. So that doesn't count. So it's extremely disenfranchising. And just so many ways that it's awful. And I think that is why, in the end, it did not pass. I was extremely surprised, honestly. This was our biggest like anti-voter bill this session, and we stopped it. So it passed the House, I believe. Yeah, yay for that. Yeah, shout out to anyone here. I know Felicia showed up to testify. Turning people out and making noise about this was, I think, the biggest thing, and really proving to these lawmakers that this is not a good bill. It's not good policy. It actually, even like from a technical point of view, it was not a good bill because there are so many things that just weren't accounted for, like in the process, just poorly written, bad all the way around. We made sure people showed up to testify, that people were, raising, making noise about this from the very beginning of session, and a lot of office visits. I can't even tell you how many. Like, there are so many organizations and partners involved in this work too, and just like all of that combined, and really getting through to people that this is not not a good plan, I think was effective in the end. And what's interesting too is that there's data that shows that, like, only mentioning this because there are Republican lawmakers who are leading this bill, Republican voters are less likely to have access to these documents. So it's like, you don't even understand what you're doing. Like, you're disenfranchising your own voters. And I will again state that the League of Women Voters and TCRP are very strongly nonpartisan. But yeah, what we I think did a good job of is making sure these lawmakers understood what they were going to be voting for. So at the federal level, we still have the SAVE Act. It passed the House in April and is sitting in the Senate now. There hasn't been any action on it, which is, I think, a good sign. Never be too hopeful. Who knows if it'll, come up for a vote sometime soon, or in the duration of the federal legislative session. But for now, it's staying still. We beat this law in Texas. Hopefully, it doesn't come back around next time. But yeah, that was that. So yeah, thanks again to everyone who came out and mobilized around that. And I think that's the message, is that we have to keep turning out, keep showing up. Even I'm tired. We've got another special session starting next week, and as soon as we rest and refill our own cups, time to get back out there and bring a friend or a new person who hasn't been part of it before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Taylor. Can we have a little discussion?
Yes, please.
Yes. So I think people feel kind of disenfranchised from this process of there's the legislature and there's the rest of us, right? They do stuff down in Austin, and how do you keep up, right? How important do you think people power really was for beating back the Texas version of the SAVE Act, this bad bill?
Yeah, it was huge. And it really was instrumental. I think that was the one big thing. Had it not been for that, it would have passed, because there would not have been anyone telling them not to. This was one of their priority bills. So each session, it's top 40 hits. I think it's the lieutenant governor puts out his SB1, SB2. These top 40 bills are their key priorities. This was SB 16, and it failed. So honestly, it's shocking.
Yeah. And it passed the Senate, and then it got to the House, and it passed out of the Elections Committee, but it did not get out of the Calendars Committee. The Calendars Committee is responsible for putting it on the calendar for the full House to read it, to hear it, or whatever. And it didn't make it past that. And the coalition really hit the Calendars Committee hard with, here's why you shouldn't schedule it. Here's why you shouldn't schedule it. So want to emphasize what Taylor was saying about the coalitions who came together. There were so many organizations and so many people who spent hours at the Capitol day after day after day, going in and talking to the same offices over and over and over again. We had a team that the League of Women Voters had a team that dropped one-page documents to every office of every House of Representatives member. That's 150 members. We hit every single one in a day, because this would have been bad for Texas. It would have been bad for everybody in Texas. Okay, anybody have questions for Taylor?
Yes.
Matt?
So we hear a lot about election security as a resource on this legislation. Is there any data that you can share with us on the integrity or the insecurity of our elections, Texas, Williamson County, maybe specifically, that you can share on the source of those data?
Yeah, I don't have any particular data off the top of my head, but I do know that our elections are safe and secure, and that whenever folks try and attack them or claim that there's this lack of integrity or all this stuff, it's just simply not true. If you I don't know, look at the votes, the systems all work as they should. The machines are fine. Everything, in large part, works as it should. Sometimes, there may be an issue here or there, but those get remedied. And when we have bills like this, what they really do is decrease the amount of integrity our elections do have. When you're adding, so another part of this bill is you're now asking each of your county elections offices, all 254 of them, to put in this system to process all of this paperwork, right? They're already underfunded, they're already understaffed. We're asking them to do this new task, and especially when paper is involved, Texas is very old school, all of the voter registration applications on paper, that's going to lead to more transcription errors. It's less safe and secure if we had online voter registration, it's straight into the database. It's safer that way. Another thing is we've seen these push to do hand counting of ballots. Again, paper is not better. Like, you're asking election workers who have already worked all day to then spend the rest of the day, like up for 24 hours straight, to hand count these. Like, you think that's going to be more accurate than a computer tabulating something? Yeah, so it's not exactly, I don't know if that answered your question, but.
If we were interested in what the fraudulent data counts are, would we go to the Secretary of State potentially get that data? What's a good nonpartisan official source that can tell us 2% were returned, 3, whatever the numbers are? Would it be the Secretary of State?
I would think so, yeah.
Thank you.
There might be some other like nonpartisan research organizations, but I'm not sure which ones would have that type of information off the top of my head.
Yeah, it's vanishingly rare. That's a really important thing to emphasize is that they're really, there's a lot of talk out there about voter fraud, but it is vanishingly rare. One of the calls to action we will bring forward near the end of this discussion is helping out with elections. The best way to learn about election security is to learn about it from the inside. And last fall, our league donated well over 1,000 hours of volunteer time to the elections office here in Williamson County to help make sure that our elections ran smoothly. There is work for everybody to do. You can do 2 hours. You can be an election poll clerk, an election clerk, right? And you can work the whole election. There is something for everybody, and we need us all to do this to pull off a good election. So, yeah, great. Okay, final statements, thoughts, discussion. Yes.
I just have a question. So I hear what you have to say on the need for volunteers to assist, but what about for the Texas Civil Rights Project?
Yeah, great.
What as a volunteer would I be able to do to help this Texas Civil Rights Project?
Great.
Yeah, great question. I will say we've got a QR code over there that you can use to sign up to like get added to our volunteer network and learn about these different opportunities. I would say one thing, especially that we kind of piloted this year, is like our legislative action network. So whenever we have big bills and we need to make sure people are turning out and speaking either in favor of them or against them, especially having local folks who have the ability to go and testify is huge. And I also know that that sounds scary if you've never done it before, and we are here to help you. But like, if I can do it, y'all can do it. I would say also our election protection work, which the League of Women Voters is also a partner on. We have volunteers who stand outside of a polling location. So you're not a poll worker or a poll watcher, which are partisan, but our nonpartisan poll monitors just make sure like you're there to greet voters, ask if they had any issues voting, or if they have any questions walking into the polls, like maybe they don't know what kind of ID they need, or if they're walking out and, hey, I wasn't able to vote, like I'm registered. We have attorneys who run a hotline who are there to actually like help resolve these issues in real time or answer more complicated questions, things like that. So those poll monitors are huge as well. Yeah.
For people who are watching at home and for all of you who registered, I think, Tony, can we take that link, that QR code from Texas Civil Rights Project and include it in our emails afterwards, our follow-up emails, like here's an opportunity to volunteer with them? Awesome.
There's a short link on there too. So
Great. So
yeah.
we'll make sure to include that in the follow-up information for anybody who wants to volunteer with those networks. Awesome. Thank you, Taylor. And we might have more discussion going forward. Yes, thank you so much. Okay, we're going to go to our second speaker now. Mr. Linder, I see you. We're going to save the best for last back there. Sorry, no. I love Celeste. I love Celeste. Woo, boy.
That's okay.
I tell you, there's
You're okay.
best and then there's best, and we keep going for
You're
best.
better best.
Anyway,
I get it.
okay, so let me now introduce Celeste Williams, who is second vice president of Program Planning and Development Chair, or second vice president, Program Planning and Development Chair, okay, of the Austin Alumni chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. Okay, so that is the official title. Celeste T. Williams is a dedicated servant leader and advocate for civic engagement, currently serving as the second vice president and Program Planning and Development Chair for the Austin Alumni chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated for the 2025-2027 biennium. Where are the deltas? And like I have to ask, we've got red shirts and red. Okay, we've got deltas here. All right. Her commitment to the public service is deeply rooted in her belief that every voice deserves to be heard and that active participation in the democratic process is essential to lasting change. From 2021 to 2025, Celeste led the Social Action Committee of the Austin Alumni Chapter, where she spearheaded numerous initiatives focused on voter education, civic mobilization, and community advocacy. Her leadership extended beyond the chapter level, and she currently serves as the Texas Social Action Coordinator for the Southwest region of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. And this is a 2024 to 2026 cycle, right? Providing strategic guidance to chapters across the state in their efforts to advance the organization's social action priorities. Please welcome Celeste.
Thank you, Felicia. Before I begin with my remarks, because I track a lot of different things, and this is just coming from Celeste, so make sure you guys understand that, to the question that was proposed of sources, right? So you always start from the top when you're saying where was an issue raised. So you start with the Attorney General website, right? To see what he's calling out and what he's addressing when you're saying voter fraud, right? So that you can see the areas that he's calling into account. Then you look at local channels. So then we look at the Texas Tribune, right? Who's investigating, who has investigative journalism to be able to say, what are they saying? What was that fact that they have, right? Then you have other inquiries of persons who may have been interested that have been evaluating these facts. So then you have the AFT, right? So then they track it, right? And then you coalesce and look at that information from there, right? And then if you're looking for county by county, because we do have our own different websites per county, then go to the Williamson County Elections page, right? See what they're addressing. See if I have identified any of these errors that have taken place in their area, similarly to Travis County and the like. You go there. You're just gonna have to decide as a concerned citizen to do the deep dive research and then say there. Because when we say whether it's nonpartisan or not, that becomes a personal opinion to yourself. If you already come in with the view that something has happened, the likelihood of seeking to change your mind is zero, right? But if you come in where you truly are saying that I want to investigate the different sources and what that may look like, then you can say, okay, when this report came forth and we said in Texas that we saw less than 1% of voter fraud cases, and the target was about 200 persons that represented, when we know that the state of Texas has well over 7 million people populated and all of that, then you ask yourself as a concerned citizen whether you believe that voter fraud is an issue that you should be taking up. But it is not our position to tell you that and what that should actually look like, okay? So I say that just as a caveat because I didn't want to interrupt the speaker. That is from Celeste's point of view. Now, I want to correct one thing that Felicia mistakenly said.
No problem.
Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, the speaker who speaks for our organization is our international president. Okay. She is the only person who can speak for Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. Her name is Cheryl Turner. So if you ever have any inquiries where you want to say who speaks for the larger organization that is Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, that is Cheryl Turner, and you go to deltasigmatheta.org and you contact her, and then her and her team will respond accordingly. I do not speak for Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, okay? Delta Sigma Theta Incorporated encompasses well over 300 duly initiated members into our organization. That encompasses over 1,050 chapters. Austin Alumnae chapter is a graduate chapter, so that is post-collegiate graduation. That falls underneath their umbrella. Our local president here is Renee Jones. She would then speak on behalf of Austin Alumnae chapter, or she would designate someone to speak. In this case, you guys have me. Just want to set procedural and make sure we all set expectations when we're looking at this, okay? Delta Sigma Theta is also nonpartisan. Okay, we do not advocate for a particular candidate or endorser. However, there is an organization called D4 Women in Action, and they can, in fact, endorse candidates. But when you think of Delta Sigma Theta, Sorority Incorporated, we do not. Okay? Just so that all minds are clear, and the persons who can speak for them. Delta Sigma Theta, the larger organization, Fur Turner. The local organization, Renee Jones from the graduate level, when you're looking for that. And when you're looking for partnerships, that would all need to go through her for the approval, and we do those such things as that. On the local level, we have been partnering with Felicia and team for quite some time. I do hold membership within the League of Women Voters. Okay, so I do work with them sometimes strictly just for that. In this case, it becomes a dual hat situation, right? So my remarks to you guys today, as approved, because I want to make sure that I don't say anything wrong, right? So we're honored to be here for this 5th annual John Lewis National Day of Commemoration. As we gather to commemorate the enduring legacy of the Honorable John Lewis, let us remember his rally cry to make good trouble in pursuit of justice. Now more than ever, we must answer the call by remaining steadfast in our commitment to voting and civic participation. Your voice and your vote matter in every election, from the local school board to the highest office in the land. We urge you to stay engaged with your local elected officials, participate in local PTAs and community organizations, and shared fact-based, truthful information within your networks so that the others can make informed decisions. The Austin Alumnae chapter is committed to advancing social advocacy through the priorities set forth by our National Social Action Commission. Those priorities are voting and civic engagement, health equity, reproductive freedom, economic justice, education, reimagining public safety, environmental justice. Real change begins with each of us by showing up, speaking out, and voting in every election. We honor the spirit of John Lewis and continue to fight for equality and justice in our community. We look forward to working together, uplifting these values, recommitting ourselves to building a brighter and fairer future for all. And because I'm here in Huddle, I say let's continue to work together in Huddle. One of the actions that we were able to do as Austin Alumnae chapter was to host a City of Huddle Day. And we got a chance to work with the mayor, talk to all the staff members and departments that flow underneath him to see how we can better engage and serve. It is our choice as citizens to decide where we want to show up and how we would like to show up. And so my charge for you is pick that one thing that you're passionate about and then go with that. And then bring some priorities with you. Yay.
Questions, comments, discussion? I'm curious about the Hutto, City of Hutto Day, right? How are there other cities that y'all are targeting, other local things? Because we really have been putting a lot of emphasis on local is everything, right? You go local for your politics, you go local for your voting. Everything has to start at the local level. And it sounds like y'all are doing the same things. Can you talk a little bit more about the importance of that local organizing?
Yes. So we had City of Hutto Day, City of Austin Day. And so our service area for Austin Alumnae chapter covers Hayes County, Williamson County, Travis County, and Bastrop, right? So all those cities that are in there, right? And again, we come at the benevolence of where we see the need, right? Because we want to know that we're addressing what the community is saying they need, not what we are saying that they need, right? And in order for us to do that, especially when we're talking about social justice and advocacy, is to talk to the leadership of those cities, to be able to see what their priorities are, right? The same way the state of Texas set their priorities on what they want to identify, your local mayor they have their priorities, right? So we got to see where the bridge of the gap and need is. And as a public service sorority, right, we need to see, based on those priorities that I called out to you, are those issues something, where do they intersect? So then we know what we can bring forward to be able to address. And so we obviously know that voter engagement, being able to do that. So we always charge all of our members to become volunteer deputy registrars. We say keep it with you at all times, whether you're in the grocery store, your local place of worship, for those who believe in those type of things. You just want to make sure that you always have it on your personhood to be able to offer the opportunity for those parties who desire to do so to register to vote. And you're going to always follow the guidelines of those local municipalities in which to do so. And so our local efforts is always going to be here, right? So our collegiate chapters, they focus on what's happening on their campuses. And then us as alumni chapters are focused on what happens in the community. And we look to make sure that we're doing strategic partnerships to do the work together. And so on the local level, we're going to always look for organizations that are doing the things that align with our priorities. The League happens to be a national partner with Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. So it always makes sense that where there's a local chapter, that we also partner with them to make sure that we galvanize and mobilize.
Yeah.
I just wanted to mention Celeste also has sent out chapter members information on school board meeting dates for each ISD. Many of our SARAs have children throughout, Texas area, so we do also attend school board meetings appropriate and try to make sure that we are getting involved at committee level.
Yep.
Just letting folks know that everybody doesn't just live in Austin. We
That's
live
right.
throughout Central Texas. Or if I should mention Bastrop and Georgetown and East County. So we're just trying to be a visible presence.
Yeah. So just to say a little bit of that into the microphone so that it's going into the recording
I'll
as well.
restate it.
You
So
do it.
What she, because I want to make sure we
I love that.
delineate, right?
You do that.
So what she's saying is that, again, as the former social action chair, one of my responsibilities was to inform the members of when certain things are happening. And so one of those charges was to make sure that I looked on everybody's website and establish when they were having their city council meetings, right? Because we want people to attend those city council meetings, hear it from what's happening there. And most city councils are doing it in person and online. So we try to mitigate that reason of saying I can't go because I don't want to be in person. It's online. So we love the duality when there's a hybrid environment to be able to do those such things. So I sent out that information to say, these are the city council meeting dates. This is how frequent they've been. Sometimes this is the public meeting and this is the private session, but you know where you can be able to assist. Same thing with those school boards. We're saying these are these school boards. This is when they meet. We're charging you to go and attend. And so we identify leads based on the fact that they live in those particular cities, right? Because you want to be a constituent. People love to see their constituents when you're asking for things, right? Because that means you are addressing your need, right? So when we appoint those persons to go and attend those local efforts, and then they bring it back to us as chairpersons to be able to say, this is what we heard. This is an issue that we think you guys need to help galvanize, right? And so then we use our local social media pages, once we get all of it approved, of course, and then we put the messaging out to the broader community to say, this is something that you may want to show up to and address, right? And so she lent credence to SB1. Delta was party, larger Delta was party to that lawsuit. So if you look it up, you will see Delta Sigma Theta as a party to that. And so local chapters did go because they had a vested interest every day to San Antonio to that session to listen. And though we did have members of our organization who did in fact testify for that, just out of full transparency. So you will see that Delta did take position, but they didn't take it lightly, right? We use fact-based information to say, is it something that we should be party to? And that's how we're gonna always do. So there may be people saying, hey, we would like to partner with you guys. Just take it from the standpoint of we will not take up everything, right? We need to make sure that we have the opportunity to investigate. We need to make sure that it is nonpartisan. We need to make sure that there's good substance behind being able to do that. So as a person, as Celeste, I can do it, right? Because because I'm still a constituent. But once you
Mhm.
start bringing the organization itself in and asking them, then I need to go through all the procedural things to make sure that that happens. And so I just want to set expectations. So if anyone says, how can we volunteer? We welcome community support. We want to be able to partner with those of us that are in the community. We want that, right? However, if there's something like, y'all need to be here for this, wait a minute. Let us investigate that
Yeah.
before we say we as the collective. But if you happen to be a friend of a Delta and she wants to go as herself, then she does that.
And she'll probably show up with her VDR stuff, right?
Oh, yeah.
But I should mention, by the way, that Adrian is our designated VDR for the day. Adrian is also a Delta and a frequent volunteer with the league. And so if you need any volunteer deputy registrar, any voter registration needs, Adrian is our go-to. Stickers, yeah. Anita.
I'm the timekeeper.
Oh, she's the timekeeper. Okay, she's telling us to move on. All right, good. All right. Thank you, Celeste. Okay, we now are to our third and final speaker, Mr. Nelson Linder. I've got a microphone for you, sir, when you make your way up here. And here is a bio. Mr. Nelson E. Linder has been president of the Austin branch of the NAACP since 2000. That's a long time, y'all. I've only been president for 2 years and I'm tired, so I don't know. Linder has been interviewed on CNN, BET, The Washington Post, and has appeared on local television numerous times on issues ranging from police brutality to housing discrimination. He's also worked extensively on educational equity and economic empowerment. Linder has also been covered in the Houston Chronicle and Texas News Cable Network. He is the recipient of 3 Lifetime Achievement Awards from the Austin Community College, Precinct 1 Travis County Commissioner's Court, and KAZI Austin. His work is dedicated to continuing the pioneering work of the civil rights movement with a special emphasis on improving the quality of life for African American people. Please help me welcome Mr. Nelson Linder. Thank you so much for coming. All right, you're good.
Let me first say good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'm happy and honored to be here, okay? Didn't know that Huddle was a big city. Nobody told me, so I did a right turn, a left turn, a right turn, a U-turn, and there it was. I came here with a small town with City Hall. Oh, yeah. And that was about it, right? Things changed. And my last speaker, my treasurer is a Delta. My first vice president is a Alpha. You guys can figure that one out, right? I'm right in the middle, so I know both groups very well. I want to do 3 things today. We just had our national convention last week, meaning the NAACP in Charlotte, North Carolina. Very interesting things to attend. You've got the structure of your organization, national. They're mostly intellectuals and lawyers, and you have the branches, guys like me who live in small towns and everywhere else, and we always have the conversations. What I've learned is, let me give you my premise first. There's a book called The American Political Dictionary. You guys heard that book before? Okay, this book here is it's amazing. It tells you what happened, when it happened, what was the end result of what happened. So it's an amazing educational tool. Because when you see something that we're trying to address in this city and country, why are we doing this in the first place? Mm-hmm. If we know why, we can be more effective. If we don't know, what are we doing? That's very important. My civics teacher told me, Nelson, you're the only guy in this class that likes civics, so you have a ways to go. Most guys were chasing the girls. I finally figured that one out too, but government was important. I was born in Riceville, Georgia, 3 miles from Macon, 3 miles from Savannah, and more miles from Atlanta, Joe and Lys's playground. Mm-hmm. And so at our convention, we had a lot of folks doing seminars for a lot of technology and a lot of sophisticated stuff, and I'll call it nice. I call it a lot of bureaucracy.
Mm.
But there's a whole world out there that doesn't understand bureaucracy.
Mm-hmm.
They don't vote, they don't participate
That's right.
for a lot of good reasons, because they're upset and they don't know what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
My office is at 1050 East 11th Street. I'm a mile from the Capitol, a mile and a half from the City Council, about a mile and a half from the County Commissioner's Court. So they drive by my office every day. Then there are the folks on the street, they walk up and down all day long. They see the Austin NAACP, and they always want to have conversations. What I've learned is, beyond the technical stuff, the conversations are most important.
Yeah.
Because when you talk to people, you embrace them, they see you, and they realize this is not that complicated at all. When you read the Voting Rights Act, it was an incredible process, sacrifice, what it covered, right? Then you think about the world today, America today. When that act was in force, anytime there was a district that had any history of discrimination, they would check by the federal government. Can do anything without federal approval, called pre-clearance. When I was in 2013, Austin changed the city government. We led it up, and the NAACP did. We changed the city charter. Well, when we changed it, we had a lot of support because you have to have federal banking. You can't do it without federal banking. Whole different world. Nowadays, what's left of the federal government doesn't do that anymore, right? What's left of the federal government, it's been literally almost destroyed. I don't mind saying that because I'm partisan too, but I'm also realistic and I'm very practical. Folks out there are scared. When I got to Charlotte, we had rooms full of people. They had rooms full of people want to have conversations. They love the workshops, but people are like, we need to talk because what's happening in this country? Because John Lewis put together a package that really would deal with voter suppression in a very meaningful way. It never would occur in the first place. That's what we envision. Folks that have values that want to be fair to folks, but at the same time, you got to check them when they're not. We need to be checked, right? So I want you to be informed. I love the presentations. Well, here's what I see. The last elections, there was a huge disconnect all over this country among our neighborhoods. Folks don't want to talk to intellectuals or scholars. They want to talk to everybody, the people they see every day. One thing about me, I can tell you, being a country boy, country guy who came to the city, I can talk to anybody. I make things simple, not complicated. I try to, because things are too complicated, but they're really simple when you understand. And if you don't understand, your motivation is down here. The last election, I think, kind of proved that, right? Folks get their news from different sources now. It ain't just the major news stations, YouTube, Facebook, every other book that's out there, right? So if you don't talk to people and have an idea of what's going on, and they don't know who you are, they're not going to listen to you. So when I was talking to my colleagues this week, I talked about what that means for America today. That there's a huge gap in this country of folks who just don't talk to each other because they don't know how. This is a good premise, a good foundation. But then you move out into the streets, neighborhoods, you talk to folks, how you doing? I give you an example. When I answer my phone, because I was told, Nelson, NAACP doesn't have lawyers, so don't tell folks we have lawyers. Well, I found out when I said that, they just hang their phone up. So that obviously didn't work. Let me try something else. Good evening. I'm Nelson Leonard. This is Austin NAACP. How can I help you? You got their attention. Well, son, I need a lawyer. Well, before I get a lawyer, tell me, what is your problem? What do you really need? Then we got a conversation. Then we're talking about some things, right? So I tell you what, we'll have you write a statement about what you're experiencing. I want to do it for you. I'm going to invite you to the office and we're going to have a conversation. Then I'm going to call some lawyers I know and explain it to them. And guess what? You're going to have access to a lawyer. To the home office. We shouldn't tell people that. Always start the conversation first because that's what they need. And if you talk to people, they're going to listen to you. they're going to respect you. They're going to tell everybody else. Our office is always busy. I'm the only person in the office. I'm a volunteer, but I'm also an insurance agent for 35 years. That's how I pay the bills. But when you talk to people to start a conversation, you get a whole lot of context. They remember you, they trust you, and they say, well, why are you so different? I said, I'm not different, really. I said, I just kind of understand people because I was just like you 30 years ago. Confused, lost, afraid. So what am I going to do? And I met great people just like you who would talk to me, and I felt important. And so, well, Nelson, the civics teacher, you have a major responsibility. You need to change this city and change this world, but you won't do it if you don't understand this thing called government. So here I am now, 25th year NAACP president in Austin, Texas. We're having a major impact in a very, very frightening time. And so our job now is more important than ever. Not with all the academic stuff, that's important. You guys are brilliant at that stuff, so we can always get the resources right. But I want to catch folks and have a conversation. I want them to know that my door is always open. I work 6 days a week, sometimes on Sunday. So it's not about, and it's not about being paid in this profession. It's an honorable profession because what you do might save this country. My parents walked with John Lewis on the streets of Georgia. The muddy clay dirt, the rattlesnakes and cottonmouth moccasins. The KKK was almost in every neighborhood. I left Georgia at the age of 17, joined the military. It's real, it was real out there. So they understood what it meant to have a vote and the dangers of being active in politics. One of my classmates' father was running for city council in Riceville, Georgia. One night, a group of men, white men, shot in her father's house, missed everybody with a 30-06 rifle. We were in elementary school and we all experienced that. She's my friend on Facebook today. The folks who did that, 3 white men, they ran and left the town in a hurry. They headed toward a place called Savannah, Georgia, and they went around a place called Dead Man's Curve. They went around that curve at about 100 miles an hour, hit an innocent white family from Savannah, and killed all 3 people. And I was only a kid then, all 3 people. They were never prosecuted because they were white and the town was run by the KKK, and I never knew it. So what we're fighting, and that's about not just black people, it's about people in general. We're human beings. When we don't cooperate, things are much bigger than what we are. So our organization tries to show folks by example how you can change this world and this community that you live in. Then you can begin to study the things you have before you, and you can have an impact and you encourage other people. Because the folks who make those decisions, I don't see them every day. A lot of folks who do, they're always talking to each other. So knowledge travels through that network. We don't sometimes want to get that. We are important, yeah. But look at the country today. We're losing a lot of critical elections, critical debates. We don't seem to know why. I will shift quickly to say something about Barack Obama, former president. He made a great statement this week about the fact that we have to really begin to fight harder and address the opposition in a different kind of way. We can't walk around like everything's fine. It's not. And people know that. So if you don't do that, so this is an urgency, you're going to lose their support and attention. These organizations, League of Women Voters, we are great partners. We work a lot together. Respect at NAACP. My home office says the same thing. I'm usually at odds. I've been at odds since I was born, I think, but that's okay. I always got a question because I'm always asking, what are you doing? And show me the results of what you're doing. My parents told me I had 13 sisters and brothers. I was one of them. So I was socialized in my household. All right, that's what it needs to be, right? And so being in that environment taught me certain skills. And so I applied it in college and in the military. Here I am today in Austin, Texas, somewhat 40 years later. And I want to share this with you as well, because I want you to know me. So when you see me talking crazy on television, you know why, right? You know why, right? Look, I'm a human being. I get mad. I can say things I shouldn't say. Things I did say at one time were suppressed. That means they're still there when I need them, right? I'm a human being. When I left Georgia, I was 17 years old. My dad told me, Nelson, go to the Army and get out of here when you finish school the next day. Pass the test. My mom said, wait a minute, son, have a seat. My mom was real tight. She said, look, I don't want you to go to the military. I'm going to tell you why. Well, you already know, right? People get killed, and you're my son, I love you. But your dad made a point, because a lot of folks here didn't like you. And in fact, you were involved in an incident where you really upset the KKK. They had put out a death threat on my life as a kid. So your mom said, okay, well, I still love you, just but your dad is right. I want you to join the Army. I want you to see the world. Then I want you to come back to this town and tell folks what you experienced as an adult. Then I found out that the sheriff of my town, Riceford, Georgia, had been in KKK for 30 years. Nobody knew it. So that's my background. And so when I work today, I'm working to address some of the same things, but in a different kind of way. That's why voting is so important. That's why this document we're talking about today, the voting rights, like these organizations are so important. But let's be honest, okay? If this was a boxing match, we wouldn't win the decision. It's okay to say that. Because the folks who are fighting, they love to hit below the belt. My dad told me, I used to box also. He says, son, when you're boxing these tournaments, where these boys hit you below the belt, based on the skin color, the ref is not going to penalize somebody. He said, but here's what works. It works every time. Joe Lewis did it. If they hit you below the belt, you hit them back below the belt. Then the referee will step in, then everybody's behaving. That's kind of how life is, right? Folks are constantly hitting you, disrespecting you. It's not the time for an intellectual conversation. So what are you going to do besides what our goals are today? Voter registration, top voter suppression. What are we going to do to change the whole environment in this country today? With what we know and what we can do, we're experts at it. What are we going to do? Okay, as I told, hundreds of times. We've got to change the dialogue, the conversation to make sure as a party and as a people, I know we're nonpartisan, I get that. Okay, we're nonpartisan. You can still have a dialogue and you can say things. But there needs to be more intensity about what we're doing to make this a real fight. Right now, it's not a real fight. So if folks don't respect the rules, they don't care about partisanship, they don't care about anything, really, but power. So my question to you is today, based on what you're fighting, even the Supreme Court. Supreme Court, really? I think they're partisan, excuse me. But I said that, okay? So what do you do with that, right? That gets right to voting, right? They got that by votes. Shelby Beholder. Know those cases and what they meant to voting rights. Look at what happened. So what you're doing is critical. But we got to connect locally and win these elections because that's where it all comes from. And we make the proper appointment. And we can't be afraid to talk to each other. I'm comfortable with anybody for the most part. And I came from a place where I dealt with everybody. Military. I spent a lot of time in Europe. My favorite country was Luxembourg. Anybody ever been to Luxembourg before? Okay, pretty much you know the country. You see her? Can I close out? There's a place on the East 7th Street called Counter's Restaurant, I believe, Countertop. Great breakfast. But when you go there, you see folks walk down the street, and I would only be the black guy in the place. I love their coffee, I love the eggs, I love the bacon too, that turkey bacon. Folks would walk in, you know, and they always speak, and I would speak back. You know, I figured out most of them from foreign countries. My favorite country was Luxembourg. And I know geography pretty well, and also also Finland, Helsinki. A lot of those folks down there come from foreign countries. And they would find me fascinating because of, I guess, how I look. But I also would speak, always speak to people. They always spoke back. And it's amazing how we build a bond in that restaurant. We have conversations about the whole world. It was such a pleasant place. And then I realized, man, these folks are so much like you. And they're from how many miles away from here? Also loved Oslo, also capital of Norway. Copenhagen, capital of Denmark. Right? I mean, we don't have this kind of conversations. It is part of our challenge. And when you look at people like that, different colors, different languages, and they're very similar, it changes the whole world. It taught me that. Now I'm from Georgia. If I can learn, anybody can learn. If I've heard of George Wallace or Lester Maddox, please don't look them up. That's where I came from. So what I'm saying is, in our work today, a lot of folks are watching. And it allows, because Austin's such a diverse city, you're going to meet all kind of people. And what I've learned is, when you speak to people, they tell somebody else. Pretty soon, everybody's speaking. Final lesson: my street is dogs are everywhere. They're on the street in the mornings. From my office, I'm seeing every dog read out there, trot down the street, and they're on the street. So I started looking at these dogs. They walk by, and I noticed they would stop, and they peep in my window because I'm right there on the street. So I wonder why they do that. What are they trying to say to me? So I asked, I said, why do your dogs stop in front of my window? They said, well, Mr. Linda, they can smell your cologne, number one. They won't forget it. When they look at you continuously, they want to communicate. So I would come out and talk to them. They want to jump up on you, pat them in the head. And all of them would know you. Then the people who weren't really that friendly initially begin to communicate. Am I making sense today?
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, in our work and our profession, let's not forget that we need to talk to each other, encourage each other, understand each other, and help each other. Now, Civil Rights Project, that's where you were. Jim Harrington and I worked together for 10 years. We wrote the first Title VI complaint in Austin, Texas. Did a lot of work on police issues. Great friends, great guy. See how small the world is? I hope I was helpful. Hope I said something worthwhile. You can always call me. I promise you. I won't say I don't have a lawyer. I'm gonna first say, how you doing? Yeah, thanks for calling Austin NAACP. I'm Nelson Linda, by the way. Thank you very much.
I'm going to actually take my microphone over there for a couple questions. How's that?
Sure.
All right. So, got a question over here. Well, but they do for the computer. So just go ahead and ask your question.
No, it's,
Go ahead.
I was formerly from outside of Atlanta.
Okay. Oh,
So I'd like your opinion on Stacey Abrams and her fair fight initiative, etc. That's one question.
Mhm.
Also, I would like your take on Colin Allred is going to run against whatever, we'll just his name alone.
We can't talk about partisan races though today. Like that, we can't really do.
All right, so let's make it more general.
Okay.
So Stacey Abrams, I knew personally, it just because, so I know her issues. I mean, I know the Fair Fight Initiative, let's call it that. Also, do you think that there is any hope for some of the upcoming political races on the Senate level? How's that?
Let me say this about Stacey Abrams. A lot of folks don't know that when she began to organize the votes in Georgia, she went to all the small towns for the first time in the history of the state. And she actually talked to them. They rallied around her wherever they went. She put a lot of folks in office. But we didn't maintain that. Then she had her own personal struggles. I won't get into that. We didn't maintain that system. She walked those streets in towns like Waycross, Georgia, which is where the Okefenokee Swamp is. Okefenokee Swamp, tough places. And she met people. And those folks voted all over the state in high numbers. And we got 2 senators as a result of that.
Yes.
Right? So brilliant lady. Unfortunately, she was so successful, she got some feedback, some blowback, and had an impact on her as a person. But she's a brilliant politician, very nice lady, and the folks in Georgia love her. Now, Texas, I want to address anything partisan. I will say, I see a wide open field now for that race that you just mentioned, but that individual is not my choice. But I don't have a choice. But I'm glad there's some very bright people out there. It should be a very strong race with lots of brilliant people. How about that as a political answer?
Yeah.
Stacey has a
Not politically, I don't think, for reasons I know.
okay.
I think right now she's trying to survive some issues that,
Loss.
yeah, well, it is a great loss. It is.
I just, the issue of Senate races coming up, every single race that's in front of us at any given time, things will only change when we decide to prioritize a specific issue, right? So if we were to decide as a state, as a city, as a county, as a whatever, you know what, we have to protect our right to vote. We have to protect whatever it is we choose, that's what we're going to organize around, then that's what we vote for, right? We haven't gotten to that point yet. So when we go into high schools, for example, and kids are like, why can't I register to vote online? Well, until there's political will, until we decide that that is the principle on which we want to organize, then it's not going to happen. So any of these races, we have to decide. It's up to us. It's up to us. We
Right.
can't just be looking at who's
Can I
running.
reinforce that?
Yes.
We also have to look at the whole state. Everything's not just in Dallas,
Yeah.
Austin, Houston.
Yeah.
The last election, for example, you've got to go to places like Alpine,
Yeah.
West Texas.
Yeah.
Well, folks, we got to go there. We have a lot of folks in these small towns that have discussed it. So I don't know, why can't we understand that? We got to go to win this state. You've got to campaign everywhere. If we did that, I think we have a much more competitive races. We had a lot to talk about. Don't ignore anybody.
Yeah.
Go everywhere.
Yeah.
And have real conversations,
Yeah.
not just politics.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, and then we're going to transition to Anita, so get ready.
You said you're the only one who staffs the office in Austin.
Well, I work full time. I'm a full time professional volunteer.
So is there anyone else? So you're here today. Is there someone else there?
Well, I actually today I've got a replacement. My phone is being forwarded, but I'm also an insurance agent. My office is there as well, same location. I've been an insurance agent for 35 years, so I do both. Oh, it's both. It's both because I'm the branch president and the insurance agent belongs to me, so I get some privilege. Yes, it's both. It's both.
Great, thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Grab this. All right, we have one more thing on the program today for you. I want to introduce to you Anita Overton, who is our voter services coordinator here in League of Women Voters of Williamson County. And this is the part where we help plug y'all into what you can do. Okay, so if you're watching at home, Tony, are you ready with QR codes? We're not doing that. Okay, we're going to email it to you later. That's going to work out fine. We're going to email you all of these links, but Anita is going to talk you through, here's what you can do. Here's what you can do to get involved and stay involved, because it can't just be some of us. Oh, and here, you need this. Okay, there you go.
No,
You're
not
good.
with the mic.
You're good.
Can we please give our wonderful presenters another round of applause? Thank y'all all so much for that just powerful and wonderful information. It was so valuable. So as Felicia said, my name is Anita Overton, and I am the Volunteer Services Coordinator here with our collective call to action. Woo! Woo! So first of all, I want to say that there is something for absolutely everyone. You can be as involved as you like. You can do as much as you want, as much as your schedule allows. The easiest way to get involved would be to commit to being informed and to stay informed. Take our pledge, our Unite and Rise 8.5 pledge, and then have 5 other people do the same. What is Unite and Rise 8.5? I'm so glad you asked that. It is a League of Women Voters initiative to defend democracy by activating 8.5 million voices through civic engagement, education, and collective power. Why 8.5 million? Because estimates show that that's what it would take to create change through nonviolent protests. And on a more local level, research shows that if 3.5% of eligible voters would engage in nonviolent protest, change could happen. So in Williamson County specifically, that 3.5% equates to about 16,000 people. We can do that, right? Yeah, we can do that. Number 2, come and help us continue to educate the community about the importance of volunteering and about the importance of voting. If you're local, join our league. If you're not local, join a league that's in your area. Sometimes there isn't a league in your area, and if there isn't, then join another organization that's doing similar work or has a similar cause. We talked earlier about becoming a VDR. You can become a VDR, a volunteer deputy registrar. Help us find opportunities to register and come with us to register those people. And also help us combat misinformation and disinformation. You can invite us to your activities, your events. We love to be there. We love to help register or just provide information. You can also be a part of our First Vote program. That's where we go into high schools and we register and educate students about voting. There's also a Senior Votes program where we go into long-term care facilities, assisted living facilities, and other senior centers doing the same thing, educating, assisting, and registering. 3, you can become an election worker. That's what we talked about earlier. Texas has an election almost every year. The one coming up is November 4th. There's always a need for election workers, field technicians, election clerks, alternate judges, election judges. Some of you may know that there's a special election that's been called, I think Felicia talked about that earlier, that begins on July 21st. Special session, what did I say? Special session, thank you. That begins on July 21st. Join us as we mobilize and take action. That may mean going to the Capitol, testifying. It may mean contacting your elected official, dropping by, may mean calling. So as I said, there's something for absolutely everyone. And as voter services coordinator, my commitment is to engage every single community in Williamson County. But in order to do that, I need volunteers from every single community involved in Williamson County to help with that. So I'm asking that you join us. And not only that, but invite your friends and your families and your coworkers, your churches, your civic organizations, and others to be a part as well. And I'm going to leave you with this. Our work is critically important. We have the power to make change, but more importantly, we have the power to hold elected officials accountable, and we need to do that. So join us, help us out as we continue to our work of empowering voters and defending democracy. Thank you.
Stay up here in case people have questions for you. Okay, this is a great time. We've got about 10 minutes left in this room. If anybody would like to open this up for questions, discussions, comments. Yes, ma'am.
Yes. I don't live inside any city limits in Williamson County. So do you know, does the Commissioners Court live stream their meetings? Or is there a way for me to find out what they're doing specifically?
I don't know that offhand. Do you?
Yes, and so the question for the live stream here is, does the Commissioners Court live stream their meetings? Is there a way to watch? And they do. They announce their agenda usually 72 hours or more in advance. So that practically that's usually a Friday that they'll announce their agenda. They meet every Tuesday morning, and they live stream. So yeah, watching that is a great thing. Boy, you get so much information every time.
Can I jump in real quick?
Yeah.
I was thinking about this earlier when Celeste was speaking. If you don't know what your commissioner's court is or what they do, learn about it. I did not know until I started at TCRP, but it's effectively your city council, but for the county. And the county runs a lot of important things like the sheriff and jail, or the jail and criminal legal system, our elections, that's a huge thing, public state, like so many things. You have 4 county commissioners that are elected from each of the 4 precincts, and then 1 county judge who is not really a judge. They're more like the mayor of the county. That's how they act. So they do a lot of stuff there, and a lot of people don't know about them. Get involved in your commissioner's court. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think everything you said was really very, very interesting, and registering people to vote, in my head, is only the first step. How do you get them to the polls? Are you allowed to drive them? Are you allowed to, what are you allowed to do? How do you actually get them from the step of registering into the building to cast a ballot?
I think that's $1 million question. And with our changing election laws and things being as they are, it's becoming more and more challenging to do that. But that's definitely something that we discuss about how do we make those registrations turn into actual votes. And right now it's just we're just gonna have to keep working. We're gonna have to keep doing whatever, creatively thinking. We're gonna have to be able to do absolutely everything we possibly can. But right now, again, there's a lot of changes that are coming down, and it's just making it a lot more difficult for us to really do what we'd like.
Are you allowed to ask to help them develop a plan? Is that something you can talk about how we reach the goals? You can. do
Yes.
that.
Yes.
And we do that.
Yeah.
We do that. When we talk to voters, a very key part is you're registered. Now, here's our bookmark that shows you everything about upcoming elections. Let's talk about making a plan to vote. So making a plan to vote is a key part, especially when we work with first-time voters, with high schoolers. When we go into the county jail, we talk to them about voting by mail and actually help them, figure out how to fill out the forms.
Yeah.
When we work with new naturalized citizens, right? We tell them, so every single interaction with a voter is a get out the vote conversation. That's how it should be.
But that still does not necessarily
Yeah.
translate to actual votes.
That's right.
And that's where the conundrum is. How do we make that the priority?
So I'm gonna put on my Celeste hat, so I'm gonna take
Okay.
the scarf off. I'm gonna answer from
Thank you,
the
ma'am.
Celeste lens. We all have families.
Mhm.
You're chosen family and you're born in family. And one thing we've all gotten away from is having those conversations across the table. We've all assumed that our family members believe what we believe. We believe that the people who we go to our respective places of worship with believe what we believe. And you often find out that that is not the
Right.
case. That is not what they believe. And so my charge to everyone from a personal standpoint is, instead of worried about people outside of your influence, let's go back inward.
Good point.
Let's look at your spouse, who you may believe what you believe, and they may not.
Good point.
Let's have a conversation.
Yeah.
Let's have a conversation with the children that we may have birthed or not have birthed. Right? Let's have a conversation with them. Let's have a conversation with our persons who have been charged to be our spiritual leaders, right? Because a lot of us take wisdom for those that are in the ministry, right? And so you're like the chosen person who, if you believe in God, right? You say, my person, they believe what I believe, and I believe the voice of them, right? And so let's have a conversation with those leaders, and because they're using their platform and they're telling their people who believe in them and who are trusting them to say that I believe in this.
Yeah.
And you may be sitting in that pew, that sanctuary, and you may not be believing
Yeah.
what your pastor or that person believes, but you're afraid to say something that you don't believe in that. So I charge you to, let's have a conversation. They have office hours. Let's say, Pastor such and such, I am a member of Shoreline Church, okay? Pastor has said some things that I didn't believe in, right? But what I did was, let's set up a call with Pastor Cook, and let's have a conversation about something that you said that you may not realize that you said. But let's have a conversation. Because as the Bible tells us, for those who believe, if you have an ought with your brother or sister, let's bring it to the table. Often what we do, if I have an ought against you, you take it and you're just mad. And I never know that
Right.
you're upset. So let's go back to the conversation. So if you have registered parties and they trusted you to register them to vote, right? And especially if you know them, right? These are your persons who became 17 and 10 months old. You began registering them in Texas, and they're your high school student. You continue that ongoing conversation, and you establish that early voting starts this day. And we're going to go together on that Saturday. Because Saturday is the day that the young people want to go, right? Or that person who just started work and they are trying to say that my job doesn't allow me to go. Figure out when they go to work. And let's look at the intersection of the hours of voting. Because people say, I can't go because that conflicts with my work schedule. And you find out that they don't have to be at work until 4. The polls open at 7. You know what I mean? And so let's actually mitigate what people are putting in front of you of saying why they can't do it. And let's just say, okay, now when it comes to transportation, because I do serve as an election judge, right? We do have that form that if you have these parties that you're doing in large quantities of the 10, right? And you're in this van, right? And you're trying to do, you're going to sign off. And there's a document that you're going to sign that says that you're transporting these parties, right? And you're making sure that you're not influenced. Also at the polls, you can assist somebody, especially if they have impairments and things of that nature, language barriers, because everybody may not be multilingual. So they can help you that. What you're not doing, however, is when you go to that voting machine saying, hit this. That's when we have a problem. But that assistance and things of that nature, Texas does allow you to do certain things, and we need to operate within those guidelines to do that. But my charge is, instead of saying, I don't know all of you guys. So you're like, no, I'm not doing it. But the person next to you knows you. And so you guys can already get a calendar invite together and say for special election that's starting July 21st, that we're going to be at the Capitol. And we're going to go listen in. And we're going to go hear what they're saying. And so when they ask for public comments, you have a position that you are lending in because you have fact-based information. I like that topic. Fact-based information to be able to say, this is why I don't agree with that. And then you're putting it on public record. But then not only that, you're going to follow up with your representative. And you're going to say, from my place in Georgetown, Mr. Charles Swartz, I have some concerns, right? And I know where his district office is, and I get to reach out to him, and I say these things, right? And we're just speaking policy. So we're not don't do personal attacks with people, because that's automatically a defensive. But if you look at the policy and you say, this is where you see the impact. This is how it would impact me. This is how I would feel like it would pick. Let's have that. So in policy discussions, take out the human emotion side of it. Respect the fact that we did elect them in, right? The collective elective did elect them in. So you respect the fact that they were elected. So it becomes the honorable such and such. I would like to address you here. This is where I see a position of concern. And then you go from that matter. But just start with your neighbor. We all live in different cul-de-sacs. You have HOA presidents. Let's start having some conversations, some real human conversations to do that.
Okay, I wanted to say something real quick. My background is and as far as why they can't vote, most, I talk loud, my home is history. Most employers allow you at least 2 hours of paid time to go vote.
Yeah.
And when I'm bringing in new employees to my organization, I make sure they know that on day one of the organization, you have at least 2 hours to go vote, paid time, so no excuses there.
Yeah.
However, in that case, that is in the corporate structure. But what you find is those who are waitresses and things of that nature, that may not be the case. And so that's what I'm saying when we're talking about waitresses and things of that nature. That may not be the case. And so that's what I'm saying when we're talking about people saying what time they have to show up. To work. Right.
Yeah.
So, and again, even when you're saying from an HR perspective, people may not trust that is truly true.
Okay,
So just take that.
we got one more quick question and then we're gonna.
No, we have this young lady in the back, sure, she had a.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't.
Yeah, well, no, so real quick, I know there's not time, but maybe afterwards, whoever can answer this, you know.
Yeah.
I have an adult son with autism, and so I'm around these adults who these things matter to them, and I know there's different levels of understanding.
Yes.
But there is a voting population there, and I'm wondering
Yes.
if that's a population that.
Yes,
Yes.
so we need you. That's definitely a population that we want to engage, that we want to be active in.
We actually have a presentation that is in plain language specifically for voters who are disabled, who have intellectual disabilities. Yes, that's near and dear to us. This is important to us. Yes.
Okay, real quick. I heard on the news the other day that they're getting ready to start redistricting. And even before registering to vote, if you've been marginalized just because you live here or there, I mean, how do you fight that? How does a person like me fight the unfair redistricting of our voter lines and therefore marginalizing so many votes? I mean, if you have to drive 40 minutes to a voter to vote, you're not going to go, especially if it's raining, because of the way they've redistricted.
So redistricting is on the special session agenda that has been called by the governor. That is one of the issues that he has added. The League of Women Voters, will be working with coalition partners. TCRP is one of those partners. We are paying attention to this. We will take our guidance from the State League of Women Voters, the League of Women Voters of Texas, and we will be mobilizing to go to the Capitol. We did this in the spring as well. We have a whole crew that goes to the Capitol to give testimonies, to drop cards, to do all of the little things we can do as individuals and as groups. And we encourage y'all to join us and do that. So we will have information in the emails that are coming. There is a link on your handout to Common Cause. I highly recommend following Common Cause's work because they will be giving constant updates. We will be in this fight.
To lean into what we have committee, the structure that it goes through committee or whatever. I say go to the Texas online site, see who was assigned to that committee. You as an individual, go to the Texas website, see who was assigned to that committee work that is associated with redistricting. And if you disagree, be respectful, but contact them now. And then, because as you said, it did not pass committee. So you want to just go ahead and contact them now, right? Contact them now, express your concerns to say you as a concerned citizen, you feel like this, right? So right now, what you can do today, go to the Texas online website. It will show you who's over redistricting. It'll show you the chairperson and all the committee persons, and contact them all and state what your position is. That's what you can do.
constituent power.
Yeah.
Okay, we have to wrap this up because we're losing the room,
Just
but
one quick comment. If you have, everybody's talking about the concerns that you may have about what is happening at the Capitol and on the federal level. But keep in mind, most of these politicians don't read these bills. And so it's up to you to point out to them what's in them, and how it impacts your community.
Yeah, that's true.
And so if I did my job like
okay. And we are adjourned. Thank you all for coming. Thank you. Thank you.
I saw that you and I will be working together again at the back to school event. It's like our 1 year